The whole thing was horrible. All of it.
Oh, well.
I've never felt like this before. Honey, honey, how he thrills me. Uh-huh.
Are boys a jerk? Closer in age, baby, it would have been fine. And that baby wants to die.
Okay, I think you're really cute, and I was wondering if I could get your Snapchat.
Fuck no. What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. We're gonna hop into the main story here in a bit. I wanted to talk about the intro, that mini montage that you just watched. And I just wanted to emphasize one very important point. A lot of times inside and even outside relationships, women will make claims and accusations like men are toxic, maybe abusive, he doesn't do X, Y, and Z. Just all these negative, universal negative traits that we could all agree on are bad. But the ironic part, this is what, by and large, a lot of women are actually investing their time, their energy, their emotions, and even money into. And yet they want to claim and shout from the rooftops, woe is me, when they get exactly what they're committing to. Because there's no shortage inside of any of these ladies' networks of men that will treat them exactly how they claim they want to be treated. Like queens, he puts her first, things of that nature. Some people might say it's simp behavior. Some people might say it's just a guy being a good man. But the point is, they have the choice of dating these bad dudes versus dating these dudes that will treat them how they claim they want to be treated. But more often than not, they're going to pick a guy off of superficial qualities, maybe height, maybe has an X amount of money, or other traits that any person would love to have. But they put that at the forefront, but not the idealistic behaviors that they claim that they want inside of a man. So my point to you guys is just be the best version of yourself, put yourself first, have a whole other plethora of things going on in your life before you start making any woman a priority. Anyway, let's hop into the main video.
Okay. This is from the New York Times. This is from about a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
As a woman was raped, train riders failed to intervene, police say. And this was just the first story I was able to pull up. About 5 years ago now, I think it was 5 years ago, I did a video on my main channel, Men Are Refusing to Help Women and Children. It got millions of views, and it was just like this 15-minute thing of me talking about it. There were a handful of stories. One, a woman was on a train, and some guy started getting in her face, schmoozing on her, and being really aggressive, and no man would intervene. And then she was really angry, and she was like, why wouldn't any man stand up for me? Well, there's a lot of reasons why they won't do it. Another story I read years ago, this may be like 10 years ago now at this point. A guy was in a store, and there was a journalist who was in a store, saw a child crying with no parent, seemingly lost.
Yeah.
And she said, I saw a man walk towards this kid, looking at the kid, concerned, then stopped, looked around, turned around, and walked away. They ran up to the child, like this person, and got a security guard to help the person. And then the reporter said, she then ran to the man and asked him why he turned around and didn't help the kid. And the man said, because I would be accused of having kidnapped that kid and I don't want to be involved. That is a crazy prospect, that we have this story from Philadelphia where a woman was being raped on the train in front of people. And what did they do? Most of them just said, leave me alone. Some of them started filming. No one did anything. There's a lot of reasons why men are out.
So Tim is going to proceed to list out some reasons why this event happened. Not the actual event of the woman being attacked, but the lack of action from the crowd when someone could have easily stepped in and tried to assist. My personal belief, and I'm going to list out a few things myself. One of them is going to be the attack on masculinity. When we're young boys, we don't even realize what's happening in our school systems, what's being pushed media-wise, but it's basically the suppression and basically, again, the attack on masculinity. Once you get into adulthood and even to your end of days, it's constantly reinforced, at least where I live, which is the United States. But that being said, even though masculinity is under attack, it's always expected to step up and be a formidable force when things get real. What happens if someone breaks into your house? You're going to hope that a traditionally masculine police officer comes in and, saves you and your family at the very least. What happens if a building's burning down? You're going to expect a traditionally masculine firefighter to come and step in, and the list goes on. But what we're seeing is a situation of where the general public is wanting to have its cake and eat it too. You're diluting men from a physical and mental standpoint. We have about half the testosterone that our grandfathers had. Now we have all these type of ideologies and concepts that's a complete contradiction to masculinity itself. And this is push until it becomes the new normal. Yet when things get real, you're expecting traditionally masculine people to jump into the fray and save whoever needs to be helped. And the way that I can prove this just from that video alone, there is no topic, there's no discussion in this video or from the general public that I have seen about women going in and stepping up to stop this attack. Why? Because that isn't expected for women to go in and fight on the front lines when it's necessary. They're expecting a man to be strong, masculine, to come in and save the day. Another reason, and it's a byproduct of the attack on masculinity, is that men simply aren't invested into their communities like they used to be. And that's a direct byproduct of the attack on masculinity. There are less men getting married. There are less men having babies. And these are fundamental concepts for the backbone of society. And without these guys willing to invest into their society, attacks like this will happen without intervention. And it's a very dangerous and rocky road for us to be in as a society, because this is just one unfortunate event. What happens if we get into a massive world war, which was a popular subject of last year? You're going to need a lot of traditionally masculine men with families and children, with property, with something to protect, to be willing to go and fight and die on the front lines. And I don't see an event where there's just going to be a plethora of men signing up to be the guinea pig that gets shot on the front lines. That's just me being honest. Now, whether you believe that men should or should not isn't really relevant to this conversation. We're just dissecting why these said events are even happening in the first place.
Women. One, I think some men have disdain for modernity. That we're in this era of toxic masculinity is toxic. Women can do whatever they want, and without consequence. That's how they feel. I'm not saying it's true. And so you'll get a guy who's probably watching him and be like, screw him, I don't care, not my problem. Whereas there is an inverted. I was just watching The Imitation Game about Alan Turing. And it's such BS, because he didn't crack Enigma. I was reading up on it. It was like some Polish guy actually who did, but he built the machine. But anyway, he's trying to recruit this woman, and she's like, it would be indecorous of me to come and work for His Majesty because it would be around men. And so then he's like, you can work and be in the women's dorms. And then he can't go to her place because he's a man. That's the alternative, right? A society where the men and women are separated. When the men are overprotective, you get that. When the men feel like they're not allowed to protect women and children, they'll be punished, imprisoned, or insulted for being masculine. You get the inverse. Is there a happy medium? Or what do you guys feel about this? I'll just say, like, someone super chatted, we're not allowed to protect women and children anymore, so why would we? And I'm like, what can I say to that?
Yep. And your cops don't even protect you. Look at Uvalde.
If I'll tell you this, if this woman's being raped,
women have given off an impression that we don't want to be protected or loved or looked after. Maybe that's the problem. And maybe it should be up to each woman what is the best for her. I think that's important. But like, I've come out and said it, like, I want to be protected. I want to be loved. I don't want to be out here doing this alone. I don't want to be fighting these demons and ghouls alone. Like, it sucks. I'm scared. I actually am scared. I'm scared I'm going to get killed.
I think a lot of people.
So it's not that men don't understand that women would love to be physically protected. Any rational human being, man or woman, would love for someone to step in and fight their battles for them. You don't have to get yourself in danger. They take care of it. The battle scars lays on them. Perfect. But the issue, and what seems to be a lack of understanding from the public, is you can't demonize a person for being who they are. So demonizing men and masculinity for simply just being themselves, and expect them to have that desire to go play Captain Save, So until there is some common ground between whatever movement you're talking about that can come to a place of understanding, come to a place of where we can work together, you're just going to have isolated events like this where people are getting attacked and men aren't going to step up. Maybe it's the opportunity for all the women out there to claim to be as strong and capable of men to go out there and put yourself in harm's way for a stranger. There's a thought.
If this story about the train in the New York Times, here's the problem. If a guy on that train grabbed the man who was raping that woman and stopped him, then he would probably get arrested and charged.
Yeah, he would.
Yeah.
He would. But I think what's important is that we're having this conversation, right?
And I actually I have
It's
a question
like the
for the
start.
audience. That's I got a question. If let's try and figure out how I can phrase this for you guys. Put a 1 in the chat if you would attack the rapist to stop him, knowing you would get locked up in jail, and put a 2 in chat if you would not want to risk your freedom and life for a random woman. Did that work? Did that make sense?
Yeah, I think
All right, you guys, I'm going to end the video on that note. However, I do want you to answer the question. So, would you interject and try to defend this woman that is being attacked, knowing that it's almost but fact that you will be incarcerated as a byproduct and have to go through all these legal complications? I know for myself, and it's very tough for me to say this, but I wouldn't step in. I got family that counts on me. I have people and loved ones that I need to be around physically to protect. And it does me no good putting myself in a situation for unknown parties of people that I don't know just to face legal ramifications and put my family livelihood on the line. I just simply wouldn't do it. And unfortunately, that is the state that we're in as a society. If I could go in, fight, and protect this lady that's being attacked without legal ramifications, of course, I would step in. But if you're throwing the law against me for trying to be a good Samaritan, I'm out. So leave your comments down below. I'm very curious. What would you guys do in this situation? Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.